Alrighty, hello. Today we are going to be talking about The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula Le Guin. The Left Hand of Darkness was published in 1969. This is, to my understanding, one of Ursula Le Guin's most well-known books, if not her most well-known book. This is part of the Hainish cycles of her writings, which I believe include novels and short stories that don't necessarily have the same characters or have interlocking plots, but all take place in the same kind of universe. This is the third book I have read by Miss Le Guin, and each one I read, it just pretty much gets better and better. I would definitely recommend Ursula Le Guin as an author. This book in particular is about an envoy and a politician. So it takes place on the planet Winter, or I think it could also be pronounced Gethin. There's kind of two names for it. I'm going to call it Winter. So there's an envoy sent from the planet Hain to Winter. The citizens and populations of both of those planets are human, but the difference is that on Winter, they have their sexual evolution is different than all of the other planets with humans on them. So on Winter, each person is kind of like asexual or doesn't really have a set gender for 4/5 of the month. And then for the 5th, they go into what is called Kemer, which is when they become sexually active and they partner up, and then each partner together, the two of them will develop kind of opposite sexual organs so that they can then pair together for their time of Kemer. This means that every person on Winter is able to impregnate somebody else and is also able to carry a baby at given times throughout their lives. So Ursula Le Guin does a great job of trying to explore how that type of sexuality would affect the social dynamics of humans. For example, the king has a bunch of babies because he impregnates a bunch of people, but only the one that he actually gave birth to is the true heir. So Le Guin does a good job of trying to really investigate how sexuality or how this type of gender expression might affect things like pride or, how the household is set up, the hierarchy of beings, essentially. The other thing about Winter is it's called that because it is covered in ice and snow and it's very cold most of the time. In fact, in this book, there is a big chunk of it that is the main character, the envoy, and basically the second main character, the politician, trekking really across the big plate of ice together. It's kind of like ice and volcanoes. And when they do that, and it's just the two of them together, one from off planet and one from the planet, it really is a great section of the book in which Le Guin investigates the differences and similarities between these two different types of people. And good sci-fi is always about, or often about, what it is to be human, and I think that section of the book really investigates that the most deeply. One of the things that I really, really, truly love about this book and about Le Guin's writing in general is the world building. She really pays attention to details when it comes to what makes something feel like another place. So for instance, this is a snowy planet, so she knows what kind of travel stove they need to bring, what kind of tents they use, what kind of the different types of jackets they have, when they wear certain types of jackets and certain types of literal temperatures. They've got their winter doors, which are all way up high because the snow gets high and you can't get into your first floor. Things that totally make sense, you might not think about, but she really pays attention to them well. My biggest critiques of this book would be that because it was written in 1969, or at least I think that's why, the language around gender is not as evolved as it is today. So when Le Guin tries to create a genderless or a non-binary kind of society, her default pronouns are he, him, which someone reading that today doesn't make me think genderless, it just makes me think all men. So, which I don't think that that fully takes away from the book, but I think reading it or writing it with the language around gender we have today that has more non-binary pronouns and like more words to mean not he or she would allow that genderlessness of it all to be more pronounced. Because yeah, you just wind up thinking that it's all dudes, which, I mean, is okay. The point still definitely gets across, and it definitely still is triggering reflective and interesting types of thoughts around gender. Overall, I would say it's incredibly thought-provoking, reflective, and lovely to read. The other books that I've read by her, especially The Dispossessed, which everyone in my friend group pretty much has read, and I would highly recommend. They have a way, like she has this way of her narrative just washes over you. Like you barely even realize that the plot is moving along and that a main plot point has just happened, because it flows so seamlessly from, you know, a character's internal monologue or like what they're thinking about to big, you know, like actions that are taking that change the course of the plot. So it's really like you're just in it so easily, and that makes it really easy to read and really enjoyable to read. So yes, this is a definite recommendation. Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. Yeah, thanks for watching, and follow me on Storygraph at Smurfette.